Welcome to Lesson 1-3, Rounding, Multi-Digit Numbers. In this example, I am going to round to the nearest 10. First, I'm going to do a quick place value drawing of 87. So I know I have 8 tens. And I have 7 ones. Okay, now I've done my quick drawing. Now I'm going to go ahead and round. To do this, I'm going to first of all underline the tens place because my directions are to round to the nearest 10. I know that 8 is in the tens place. I'm always going to look at the digit to the right. So I'm going to actually draw an arrow to the digit to the right of my tens place. And it's a 7. If this number is 5 or bigger, I'm going to add 1. And it is a 7, so it is bigger than 5. So I'm going to literally add 1 to my 8, which would make that 9. Then I replace this spot with a 0. So I have rounded 87 to 90. Another way to think about it is to look at our place value drawing. Here I have 8 tens. Then I have 7 ones. Well, 7 ones is pretty close to another 10. So I would say that I would trade in my 7 ones for another 10, which would then give me 90. Let's look at another example. Round to the nearest 10. I'm going to underline my tens place, draw an arrow to the right. This time it's a 1. So if it is less than 5, I'm just going to make it a 0. So this case, 1 is less than 5, so this would round to 170. In our next example, we have a larger number, 5,114. Again, we're going to round to the nearest 10. I underline the tens place, draw my arrow to the right. It's a 4, which is less than 5. So I'm going to make it a 0. Like so. We can also do the same strategy when rounding to the nearest 100. Here, I'm going to underline my hundreds place, draw my arrow to the right. It's a 3. If it's less than 5, I make it a 0. So, actually I would make both of these zeros. Because I'm basically asking myself, is 734 closer to 700 or 800? It's closer to 700. Let's do another example. I underline my hundreds place, look to the right. It's a 5, so 5 or bigger, we add 1. This would round to 8,300. I'm asking myself, is it closer to 200 or 300? In this case, it was closer to 300. Go ahead and try this one. 6,249. So you underline the hundreds place, draw your arrow to the right. The 4 is less than 5, so I would add nothing. I'd make them a 0. So 6,200. Let's see if we can do this with the thousands. The number 1,275. Again, I'm going to underline the thousands place, draw my arrow to the right. The 2 is less than 5, so these become zeros. When rounding to the thousand, I'm basically saying, is this number closer to 1,000 or 2,000? It's closer to 1,000. Try this one, 1,501. First, underline your thousands place, draw your arrow to the right. We have a 5. 5 or bigger is add 1. I'm going to add 1, so that becomes 2, and these all become zeros. Let's try another. Here we have 9,702. Go ahead and round to the nearest thousand. Underline your thousands place, draw your arrow to the right. We have a 7, which is bigger than 5, so I'm going to add 1. In this case, I have a 9, so it's going to become 10, comma. The rest becomes zeros. So basically, I just figured out, or I was asking myself, is this number closer to 10,000 or 9,000? It was closer to 10,000.